What happens when love, culture, and identity get tangled in patterns we have never taught to question? If you've ever felt torn between your cultural values and your personal growth, if you've struggled with guilt for choosing yourself, if you've wondered how to break cycles without breaking relationships, I want you to know this. Welcome to Decoding America, where we make sense of the unspoken rules, hidden systems, and cultural codes shaping life in the United States. And this is the Immigrant Experience podcast, a space where your story, your identity, and your journey actually make sense. I'm Simone W. Johnson Smith, author, intercultural strategist, and podcaster. And here we're having real conversations about what it actually takes to build a life in a new country. This is Decoding America. Today we'll talk about the immigrant experience, faith, and psychology. What happens when love, culture, and identity get tangled in patterns we were never taught to question? For many of us, especially those of us who come from immigrant or collectivist backgrounds, love has often looked like sacrifice. It looked like showing up no matter what. It looked like loyalty, obedience, and deep responsibility to family. But what if some of what we've been calling love is actually codependency? In today's episode, we're diving into a conversation that is both deeply personal and culturally complex. Codependency in the immigrant experience and what it looks like to navigate that through both psychology and faith. Let's start here. In collectivist cultures, interdependence is normal. Community is everything. Family is central. You are not just an individual, you are part of a whole. And that's beautiful. But sometimes those same values create environments where boundaries are unclear, where emotional responsibility gets blurred, and where your identity becomes tied to how well you meet other people's needs. You may find yourself feeling responsible for your parents' happiness, guilty for wanting space, or even questioning your own growth because it disrupts the family dynamic. And when you move into more individualistic spaces like the US, you're suddenly being told, set boundaries, choose yourself, protect your peace. And you're like, okay, but at what cost? So let's define it really. Codependency is when your sense of identity, worth, or emotional stability becomes overly tied to another person, or often to the point where you neglect your own needs. It can look like overgiving, people-pleasing, difficulty saying no, feeling guilty for prioritizing yourself, trying to fix or manage other people's emotions. And here's the tricky part. In many immigrant households, these behaviors are not only normalized, they're praised. You're seen as the good daughter, the responsible one, the strong one. But internally, you may feel drained, unseen, or even resentful. Now, let's bring faith into this, because this is where things get really powerful. Yes, we're called to honor our parents and our families and culture. Yes, we're called to love and serve others. But we are not called to lose ourselves in the process. There's a difference between honoring and enabling, and there's a difference between loving and over-functioning. Scripture also teaches personal responsibility, emotional maturity, and healthy stewardship of our own lives. You are not meant to carry what God never assigned to you. And sometimes what feels like disobedience culturally is actually obedience spiritually. That one might sit with you for a second. I know, I have that experience. I'm working through it myself. Let's be honest, this is not easy work. Because when you start changing, the system around you reacts. Family members may say, you've changed. You're becoming selfish. That's not how we raised you. And what they often mean is, you're no longer playing the role we're comfortable with. And now you're forced with a choice. Do I stay the same to keep the peace, or do I grow and risk discomfort? It's quite a challenge. I'm walking that out. So, what does healing actually look like? It's not about cutting people off, it's not about rejecting your culture, it's about integration. Here are a few starting points. First, start small. You don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Begin with small, clear boundaries. And secondly, change the language. Instead of reacting emotionally, communicate calmly and clearly. This is what I can do. This is what I'm not available for. Third, release the guilt. Guilt doesn't always mean you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it means you're doing something new. And fourth, anchor yourself spiritually. When you know who you are and where you are, it becomes easier to stand firm in your decisions. Let's redefine love for a moment. Love is not control. Love is not obligation. Love is not losing yourself to keep others comfortable. Love is truth. Love is freedom. Love is allowing people to take responsibility for their own lives. And yes, love includes boundaries, because boundaries doesn't destroy relationships. They reveal what's healthy and what's not. Sit with that for a minute. If you've ever felt torn between your cultural values and your personal growth, if you've struggled with guilt for choosing yourself, if you've wondered how to break cycles without breaking relationships, I want you to know this. You are not dishonoring your family by becoming whole. You are not betraying your culture by healing, and you are not alone in this journey. We are here for you at the Immigrant Experience. This is why the work of the redefining love, identity, and belonging, it's not easy, but it's worth it. If this resonated with you, share this with someone who needs it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What part of this conversation hit home for you? Until next time, take care of yourself and keep doing the work that leads to freedom. This is Decoding America. Thanks for watching.